Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tejano Traveler. I'm your host Wally, and I hope you join me on today's little excursion over to the Varner-Hogg Plantation State Historic Site. It's just south of Houston on the coastal bend, which is one of my favorite areas of Texas. The Varner-Hogg Plantation is a plantation that was eventually owned by the Hogg family. It used to be owned by some other people. It was eventually a plantation with slaves and all that horrible stuff involved with it. It eventually changed hands to Governor Hogg, who used it as his little summer home. Gone were the plantation days, but we still have some of his artifacts, and there's the great Jim Hogg. The site is pretty well maintained. It's pretty nice. We've got some nice trees and some nice lawns, some nice houses that have been restored. Like I said, it used to be a plantation, but it eventually became the summer palace for Jim Hogg, and you can see a lot of his remnants there. He eventually donated it to the state, so that's when they made it a historic site. But you see some of the huge trees with this moss hanging off of them. There's the stables. It's got some pretty nice shaded areas that you can walk through and hike through. It's a really pretty park. They've left some of the ruins there to remind you of the old days. We'll take a look at some of those ruins in just a moment. Right there we have the cemetery, which rich families used to have their own plot, their own cemetery, where they would bury their family members. There's the gates to the old cemetery that are still standing. It overlooks the river. Keep walking through the shade of the trees. There's the creek, Varner Creek. That's what the plantation was named after. There's a swimming hole that Jim Hogg had built for his kids. Of course, now it's all covered in seaweed and muck. But he didn't want them swimming in the creek because there were alligators. So he made them a little pond where they could splash around and have fun. When you go there, you keep hearing the frogs splash back in as they see you. And they freak out and they just jump in and hide underneath the algae. But you can just imagine all the fun little kids used to have just splashing around in the water. The water leads to a little bathtub that Jim Hogg had created for himself. He was a pretty big guy, over 6 feet, over 300 pounds, and that was his bathtub. That's where we would go and bathe. You still see the water that runs from the spring. Bathtub, which I think is kind of funny that it's still there and that he had to do it outside. Like I said, the place used to be a plantation, and the site does an awesome job at recording that part of the history. It doesn't shy away from it. It talks about the people that work there. It gives their perspective, their point of view, and their place in history. So if you want to learn more, make sure you go here. It's not glorifying plantation life at all. It's just showing you what they went through and why it was good that it's no longer there. So you walk around the houses and there's plenty of things to read about. Each house has a little bit of information on the inside. Now those aren't the proper plantations. We'll see the big house in just a moment. But you can walk around, walk across Varner Creek, which is what the plantation was named after. Varner, the creek, Hogg after the Texas governor. And that's how you get Varner-Hogg Plantation. Now, there used to be a sugar mill on site. That's the ruins of the sugar mill. See some of the ruins, some of the think that was a cistern or a fire pit for the boiling the water for the sugar cane. You're gonna see some of the containers where they would gather the sugar on the sugar water and all that sweet, juicy deliciousness. More ruins from the sugar mill. As always, make sure to not step on them, not climb on them, not try to get all Instagrammy with it by standing up on the ruins. And now we finally head over to the big house. It's a 2-story house. Once you're inside, you'll notice there is no restrooms. They had outhouses back then, so there was no need to have a restroom on the inside. But it's a nice big house. As you walk in, you'll see some period furniture. Most of the furniture is being renovated right now, so a lot of it was missing, a lot of the artifacts. We just had pretty much your basic stuff, but I can imagine there'd be more furniture and artifacts once you go back later, after it's all been cleaned and fixed. You can walk around, get a feel of the place. The bottom floors were more for entertaining and living room areas. The upper floors were the bedrooms. Climb the stairs to get to the second floor. As you can see, some of the living quarters where the family would stay. You're also able to head outside, get a good view of the place, stand out on the balcony, pretend you have fans below you cheering your name. But it's a good little mansion to visit and spend some time at. It's pretty awesome, pretty tranquil. And then there's the oil well that made sure that the Hoggs stayed rich, filthy rich, actually. And thank you for watching my videos. I hope you like. I hope you can subscribe and leave a comment. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hope you have a good day.